Okay, so now you might be thinking, well, what if you want to find the hypotenuse, or what if you need to use the hypotenuse? And that's where sine and cosine come in. So sine and cosine work exactly like tangent, all right? Sine, though, is equal to the opposite leg divided by the hypotenuse. So in this picture, if you did the sine of A, it would be the side across from A divided by the hypotenuse. Now cosine is the same idea, but it uses the hypotenuse and the adjacent leg. So the cosine of an angle, like in this picture, the cosine of A would equal the adjacent leg B divided by the hypotenuse. All right, and then same as before, tangent is equal to A over B, the opposite leg over the adjacent leg. Now, there's a way to remember that, and that's Sohcahtoa. So you may have heard that before in like another math class, or other kids learning this stuff, you may have mentioned it. And it's just an acronym to help you remember that the sine of an angle is equal to the opposite leg divided by the hypotenuse. All right, the cosine of an angle is equal to the adjacent leg divided by the hypotenuse, and the tangent of an angle is equal to the opposite leg over the adjacent leg. So now let's do an example to see how we could find x using sine or cosine. So how would you know which one to use? Well, first thing you always do when you're solving using trig is pick an angle. Alright, so it has to be an acute angle. Alright, you never ever take the sine cosine tangent of 90 when solving a right triangle. So we're going to use this acute angle, and since we're looking for the opposite leg and we are given the hypotenuse, alright, that means we have to use sine. Alright, so if you write out Sohcahtoa, there's two ways to think about it. One is what I just said, since it's opposite and hypotenuse that we're using, we use sine, right? Or you can think of the adjacent leg and realize that, well, we don't know the adjacent leg and we're not looking for it, so we don't need to use cosine or tangent because they both involve the adjacent leg. All right, so now, since we know we're going to use sine, we'll do the sine of 40 is equal to x over 13. And just like before, we're going to go to the calculator and figure out what the sine of 40 is. So we're going to go trig, hit sine, type in 40, and we get, all right, I keep doing that, control enter, gives us the ratio, 0.6427. So since we knew that 0.6427 was equal to x over 13, we can now just multiply 13 by that ratio, by cross multiplying, and we get that that sine is 8.35. And again, if you're not sure what I just did there, I just did the sine of 40, which I substituted in 0.64727 was equal to x over 13, and then I cross multiplied. So I got this number by doing 13 times the sine of 40.